Those are our rankings. So who would beat Bama? I think the Texas win over Bama was much more about bad Bama than great Texas. I think most of the country is now out over its skis on Texas is back. If you look at sort of like right, the little more granular stats of the game, success rate offensively, success, stop rate defensively. You were talking about like, hey, your whole offense was a couple big plays. I feel like that was Texas. They got 10 free points off 2 terrible picks by
Mhm.
Jalen Milroe, who is a very talented quarterback who everybody knew on that Alabama quarterback battle. The thing that would hold him back is he turns it over. He did it last year and he did it again in this game. That's 10 free points. Texas didn't run the ball. Neither team ran the ball. Texas ran it 37 times at 2.8 yards per carry. Bama ran it 35 times at 3.1 yards per carry. Bama had 10 penalties for 90 yards. Texas converted a fourth down on a play where Quinn Ewers never even got the snap and the running back picked it up and ran with it. And that was a key, like, fourth down conversion. I, I think people are nuts. I think the Texas love Bama is not good. And by the way, Caden Proctor is like, hey, they got that guy from Iowa that Ohio State really would have liked. They are starting a freshman left tackle. He gave up 5 pressures in that game. That was terrible. In that game, Alabama's 2 tackles, Caden Proctor and J.C. Latham, according to PFF, gave up 8 pressures. The Texas tackles combined gave up 1. So they can't block. Their quarterback throws picks. Texas put the ball on the ground a couple times and didn't lose it. And Bama was still in it late.
Mhm.
And Texas, like Xavier Worthy catches a miracle great bomb from Quinn Ewers. He also drops a touchdown pass that hits him in the hands. I think Texas loses 2 games this year. And I think the SEC West is there for the taking because that's LSU and Alabama. And I don't know how good either of them are going to be and who's going to win it. So we're going to beat Bama. But my point right now is that was bad Bama, not good Texas. And by the way, it's like, hey, we're the SEC and we got the new guy. The SEC is dead. Long live the SEC. Hey, if USC came in and steamrolled Ohio State, it wouldn't be like, hey, we're still great. It'd be like, man, Big Ten stinks. Can't believe they had to bring USC to knock.
Yeah.
Bama is in real trouble beyond quarterback. Real trouble. They can't recruit receivers. Their offensive line is starting a freshman. Their vaunted defense really didn't get after it
Mhm.
that much. And Texas is not precise. Texas is not Florida State. Texas is not Washington. Texas is not Michigan. I think Texas is good. Texas is not great. Bama is immensely flawed. And I don't think that's the reaction this week.
It's not. No, it's definitely not. People wanna crown Texas. Well, I think they're doing. It almost feels like there's two things. Like people want to celebrate the fact that Alabama is not very good, while simultaneously crowning Texas. And I don't think you can do both. I'm with you. Like watching that game, I thought like Sark had a good plan. He did the Sark stuff with the motions and the shifts and got guys in space, and they were productive as they needed to be in that game. I was uh, under impressed or unimpressed with Alabama on both lines. I thought that Alabama was going to have an advantage on the offensive and defensive lines in that game, and be able to kind of control things, or at the very least keep it competitive until the end to see what happens. I guess they still kept it competitive, but that takeover on both lines did not happen. I think Texas is pretty good up front on both sides of the ball. That is one takeaway I have from that. Like I'm paying more attention, I think, to Texas's defensive line in particular and what that could mean for them moving forward. But they're not precise. I don't think they're a finely tuned machine by any stretch. I think they're going to lose at least one game, perhaps 2 this year. And I've been on the 9-3 Bama train since the start of the year, so welcome with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there. Might be on 7-5. Now, but listen, this is one of the ones that's not like, well, just wait till Bama gets mad. They don't have enough good players. They don't have enough good veteran players. And again, Caleb Downs. It would be great if Caleb Downs was at Ohio State. Ohio State really wanted him. They're starting a freshman at safety, and then he got sucked in on a route where he gave up something deep. He's a very talented player. He would help Ohio State. They're starting freshmen there. A couple different places. That's not how it's supposed to work in a place like
No,
Bama.
I think those guys will probably look much better by the end of the year. which is natural for true freshmen. But I just don't think there's enough to supplement that. Like, it's not the thing we talk about with Ohio State, like having veteran returning talent that's good and sprinkling young talent on top of that. I think Alabama has the guys to sprinkle, but not necessarily returning talent to kind of make it hum. Um,
Yeah.
and now I think they're probably back to square one at quarterback too. Like Nick Saban said, he thought about making a change in that game from Jalen Milrow to I guess Tyler Buckner. Um, they're gonna probably experiment with that. They do not have a good answer on their roster, and that's not a tremendous place to be in when you're playing in the SEC.
They have a true freshman, right? Dylan Lonergan, who I think, you read stuff down there, people seem to like, and then Julian Sands coming in, right?
Yeah,
He's their next
they have
recruit.
two. They have two freshmen. They have Dylan Lonergan and Eli Holstein.
So they'll get it sorted out. This could be a transitional year for Alabama. It would remind me again, Ohio State hasn't had it in a long time, but in '04 was a transitional year from Ohio State, from the '02, '03 guys to the '05, '06 guys. But in the meantime, they lost 4 games. So like that, it's hard to wrap your head around that. But as it's happening, we have to acknowledge it and not act like Texas is the best team in the
Hmm.
country. So everybody chill out. Bama's not that good, and neither is Texas. Texas is good. Texas is not great. I've seen great college football teams so far this year. I don't think Texas is one of them. So let's play our favorite game show. Would that beat Bama? Bill Landis, you're up on Would That Beat Bama? First up, the Michigan Wolverines. Would that beat Bama?
I think that would be Bama if Texas was able to control the line of scrimmage that way against Alabama. I certainly think Michigan is capable of doing so, and I think Michigan's passing attack is probably not as potentially explosive as Texas's is, but I do think it's probably like more efficient, more precise. Um, and I just like nothing about Alabama on offense scares me. So like even if I have questions about how Michigan's offense or defense might look against better teams, I don't see a whole lot there to frighten me. So I like Michigan there.
Ding. That is correct. Next up, Washington. Would that beat Bama?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fireworks, I think. That's Michael Penix dropping 6 touchdowns and no interceptions on you.
Ding. That is correct. 2 for 2. Next up, Penn State. Would that beat Bama?
Not as clear cut, I don't think. I have expressed my concerns about Penn State's defensive line and just like the lack of beef there, I think. Now they are bigger than they were last year, but I want some proof of concept, I think. So I would worry a little bit about Alabama actually being able to push Penn State around. Um, but I think I would still take Penn State head to head there.
Oh, you pulled it out
Yeah.
at the end because the correct answer is ding. Yes, Penn State would beat
Hmm.
Bama. Let the Penn State edge guys go take care of those Alabama
Yeah.
tackles and
Yeah.
see what happens. All right. Notre Dame. Would that beat Bama?
Yeah, probably. I don't as unimpressed as I am by Alabama's offense. I probably feel similar about Notre Dame's defense. So that would be an interesting matchup. But I think there's enough on Notre Dame's offensive line, probably on the outside, and Sam Hartman calling the shots so they could do it.
Ding. That is correct. That would beat
That is
Bama.
that is
Next
not a
up.
confident pick for me, but yes, it's a
No,
yeah.
that's okay. Hey, yes or no. It's a yes or no
Mhm.
question. It's a yes or no game show. You're in the running to win it all. 4 for 4 so far. The Aflac reunion. Deion Sanders versus Nick Saban. Would Colorado beat Bama?
I think I'm probably a no.
Oh, the first
I
wrong
think Shadur
answer.
Sanders might get sacked 15 times by Alabama.
I'm sorry about that. The correct answer was yes, that would beat Bama, which is why Deion Sanders should be the head coach at Auburn. I thought it all along. I first guessed that. It's like Colorado, what are we doing here? They're in the Aflac commercials. This should be happening in the SEC right now. And everybody would be betting on Deion Sanders Auburn to win the SEC West today if that was happening, because they would beat Bama. Finally, Ohio State. Would that beat Bama?
Yes. Um, I have similar concerns about Ohio State's offensive line against Alabama as I do to Colorado. But I think everything else is almost everything else there is in Ohio State's favor.
That is correct. Ding. That would beat Bama. So 6 Northern teams would beat Bama. Bonus round. Would you like to add anybody else from the North that might beat Bama? Would Washington State beat Bama? Anyone else?
Mm, uh, no.
I was gonna say it would let Kyle Whittingham go down there with his fourth stringers and
Yeah.
see what happens. But I think this is probably the top 2 tiers would beat Bama. When we come back, we'll be ranking Northern coaches, and we'll also give Landis his prize.